This is Lecture 2 of High-Risk Positions, a continuation of the previous lecture. So here we go. In contrast to high-risk positions during gameplay, this list is of positions at lower risk for a concussion during a game. The lower risk positions are the offensive and defensive line. With the new rules changes, quarterbacks are incurring less concussions and finding themselves on the low incidence list compared to previously being higher risk. Even though they are low risk, concussions do occur at the line. The line can be a difficult area to spot a concussion because of the sheer mass of large bodies. See if you can spot this concussion.
UVA with one of the worst turnover margins in the country. They've got 2 interceptions and the safety here this afternoon, so the defense has certainly risen to the occasion. Here's Glennon again with pressure. He'll go down as the ball loose, fumble, and Virginia has it, and the Cavaliers are in field goal range.
This player sacked the QB and then was sandwiched by his own teammate. It also seems like he took a right hook to the side of the helmet. He demonstrates a subtle player cue at the end by adjusting his face mask. Here is a video again.
UVA with one of the worst turnover margins in the country. They've got 2 interceptions and the safety here this afternoon, so the defense has certainly risen to the occasion. Here's Glennon again with pressure. He'll go down as the ball loose, fumble, and Virginia has it, and the Cavaliers are in field goal range.
Now, an interesting sidebar is when investigating the incidence of concussion in practices, the defensive and offensive linemen have the highest incidence. This is different than during a game as stated on previous slides. I mention this because sometimes game and practice data is confused or mixed together, but our focus isn't practice. So again, defensive and offensive linemen have low in-game incidence in contrast to their high practice incidence. Let's switch gears. I want to touch on a new data point that has recently been documented in the literature. It's the position that causes the SRC, known as the collision partner. We know less about the collision partner than other data points, but this could very well end up being as important as a concussed position. If we know with high yield the player positions who cause a concussion, then identifying SRCs on the field can become easier. The most common collision partner are defensive backs, running backs, and linebackers. So these 3 positions are the ones who most commonly deliver the hit that led to an SRC. It's not a coincidence that defensive backs and running backs also have the highest incidence of concussions. We'll touch on this association more when we discuss high-risk field exposures. This video is an example of a high-incidence collision partner.
For Patrice Rene in the Carolina secondary. Carolina shifts the front. Brewer to throw. Gonna air it out. Looking down the field for and broken up on the play. Dominic Green along with Corey Bell Jr.
Good job there, snapping that head around underneath. Good position. Everybody pops up okay. It looked like a little bit slow getting up.
This is a classic example of a high-risk position, a wide receiver getting concussed. The receiver was also slow to get up, and he was identified pretty quickly with having a concussion. This video also displays a high-incidence collision partner, a defensive back. In fact, 2 defensive backs. Also, pay attention to defensive back number 18, who hits the back of his helmet to the ground and then pops up with a helmet tug. Although it's unknown if this player had a concussion, the hit to the back of the helmet like he displayed is higher risk for a concussion due to a whiplash type mechanism. We'll discuss this more in helmet impacts. Watch the video one more time.
For Patrice Rene in the Carolina secondary. Carolina shifts the front. Brewer to throw. Gonna air it out. Looking down the field for and broken up on the play. Dominic Green along with Corey Bell Jr.
Good job there, snapping that head around underneath. Good position. Everybody pops up okay. It looked like a little bit slow getting up.
In summary, there are high-risk positions for SRCs during gameplay: the defensive backs, running backs, and wide receivers. This does not include the special teams players, which we detail in the high-risk plays module. Start thinking about the collision partner. The collision partner is likely just as important as the concussed player when we start trying to predict who is high risk for getting concussed. Knowing both will provide you with more information and a better ability to identify in-game concussions. In contrast to high-risk positions, the lower-risk positions include the offensive and defensive linemen. Also, don't get confused with the practice incidents data, because this is different than in-game incidents. In review, when position analysis, collision partner, and high-risk plays are combined, a narrative can be written about the field of play in regards to SRCs. The high-risk positions of defensive back, running back, and wide receiver, combined with the collision partners of the defensive back, running back, and linebacker, begins to paint a picture of SRCs during gameplay. We'll bring these concepts together in more detail in the following module. This concludes this module. Please click on the header bar to either proceed to the next module or return to the main page.